Hello and welcome to OptimisticWellness.com, the real story interview series. And today I am joined by Sean Stephenson, Dr. Sean Stephenson actually, who recently got his PhD. And Sean has accomplished a lot in his life in many different ways. He's improved his health through changes in his nutrition and diet. He's found the love of his life, his fiancée, and in his career, he is self-described as platform agnostic. Some would call him a speaker, an author, a therapist, a sexy beast. But all of these platforms, come together under one common theme, and that is to rid the world of insecurity. That's Sean's life message. To get people off of their butt, their B-U-T. And his material and content have helped me out a lot in my life, so I'm particularly excited to be interviewing him. So before we get started, Sean, I'm going to share a few quotes here that I feel really embody your message.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is, we must respect ourselves. Practice talking to yourself the way that you would talk to a best friend, a mentor, or someone you really look up to. Trust me, life will place plenty of obstacles in your path. You can't afford to be one of them yourself. Another one, I truly believe that our major social ills would disappear if we just spent our lives perfecting the art of connecting with each other. Why? Because it's impossible to do harm to anyone with whom we feel truly connected. Malice cannot coexist with connection. And the final quote, and this is probably my favorite one of what you said, the only disability is one's inability or refusal to adapt. It's not a physical or biological challenge. And with that introduction, Sean Stephenson, welcome to the Real Story interview series.
Thank you, my friend. That was the coolest intro ever, and I've done a lot of media, so that's saying a lot.
Thank you, good sir. Okay, so I gotta start by mentioning this. You have osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bones disorder. Let's see, you had over 200 bone fractures by the time you were 18 years old, and just generally went through a lot of BS through the condition. But that didn't stop you, Sean. And according to the following quote, actually, it might have even propelled you. You said, I am the man I am because of the condition that has forged my personality. Could you talk more about how the condition forged your personality, and also some ways that you are not your quote-unquote disability? Kind of a contrast.
Sure. So I think it's a mixture, as I said in that. It's a mixture of both the disability, opening up avenues to my personality, as well as revealing who my true spirit is. I've heard a lot of people say that, money changes people or power changes people. And it's almost along lines of disability, because I don't think money, nor power, nor disability really changes anyone. I think it reveals them. I think your core spirit um, is already clean and good at its core. And if you are going through life and you interpret things as that this is going to make me stronger, this is going to make me better, if you make your meanings empowering, then you reveal that true glorious core that is in all of us. But if you interpret things as this isn't fair, or why do I have to go through this, or I'm being a victim, that doesn't reveal your true core. That reveals your fear. And so I don't believe that my disability per se changed who I am. I think it just, my interpretations revealed who I am.
Excellent. All right, so you've also traveled across the country, I believe, to what is it, like 47 states now,
Mm-hmm.
and many countries all over the world. You've had experiences of seeing all these different people and cultures, but the question I want to ask you, you're from Chicago, from Chi-Town, the Windy City, and I want to know, how have these Chicago origins influenced your life? Maybe differently than being from anywhere else that you've seen.
Sure, that's a good question. Um, I would say that being from a big city has opened me up to many different cultures, many different religions, many different uh, people of different color, different backgrounds. And when you're from a small rural town, um, the challenge is you don't get exposed to the world populace. You get exposed to only your town. And so I've been opened up to see culture as a very important thing, and understanding human relationships across all borders of all elements of life. So I definitely think that Chicago played a part in that. I also think that um, the Midwest has a different flavor than, say, the coastal cities in the U.S. It's not as fast as New York City, but not as slow as some parts of the South, as far as speed of life. Um, it definitely. I grew up with family values that are probably more Midwesterny. A little bit more family oriented, but also kind of maybe more closed off to uh, cutting edge ways of living. The more alternative lifestyles weren't as prevalent in the Midwest as, say, they are in New York or LA.
Okay. Oh, and I'd love to hear more about this one. When you were in high school, you really actually got into TV production and student government. These were two things you were into. You actually created a sitcom. It was called Living Through High School, and it was based off of one of your favorite TV shows, Saved by the Bell.
Mm-hmm.
It had a strong local following, and you put in a lot of work on that show. At the same time, you were vice president of the student government. You had a lot going on in high school. Could you talk more about these experiences and how you feel about them looking back?
Sure. I mean, we're talking about something that's now close to a decade and a half, almost 2 decades away. But I can tell you they had a massive impact on my life. When I go in to speak to kids of all ages, I let them know that your life is not broken into two parts, your childhood and your adulthood, that it's a seamless transition, and that if you really go out and are aggressive in your getting involved in school, that's going to carry over into your adult life more than likely. And so the knowledge that you gain in high school can be a very beneficial um, attribute to your adult years. So for me, I learned a lot about human relationships, being in political arenas, if you will, in that high school age with being vice president. I learned a lot about film production that now to this day is supportive. Now that we have a YouTube, I mean, we didn't have YouTube back when I was in high school. I wish we would have, because then I would have streamed all the episodes or made them downloadable, which would have been awesome. But there's a lot of components that I learned about editing. That we had to do what they call line editing, where you had to line up tapes and do tape to tape as opposed to digital. Digital came
Before the non-linear.
exactly. So, but I'm glad that I did, because if you understand the basics of editing in general, and then when you go into digital, it's just like it's an upgrade, because you don't have to wait, and if you make a mistake, then um, you can still clean it up. You can't do that in linear editing. And so, I mean, I learned all these things about, like, all the different types of cameras. And while technology is upgraded, cameras are still, panning and zooming and tilting, and needing to be on dollies, and needing lighting. And so all those components still are in play in my life today.
Awesome. Okay, let's change gears here a little bit. Let's talk about dating and women in particular.
Mm.
And in your own words, this is one of the awesome things about you. You never went through the girls have cooties phase when all the boys were busy setting up forts and signs that said no girls allowed. You cornered the market. And I've got a question here. Could you briefly walk us through how you personally transformed yourself into this this man who embodies confidence that's here before us today, and the man soon getting married to the woman of his dreams. Like, because I know people watching this might be going through similar struggles. How would you help? Like, how would you talk to a young Sean Stephenson in need of guidance regarding becoming a confident, attractive man?
Sure. Well, I would hope and pray that the young Sean Stevenson could even hear me, because he was so clouded with uh, fear, insecurity, doubt, and when it came to dating, some self-loathing. So I would have to speak really clear to his heart, and not trigger any of his fears. And I'd probably say something to the effect of, um, your dad is right. Um, it's going to get easier as you get older, because you you will get a level of maturity, and the women around you will develop a level of maturity where um, things like whether you're on the football team or you're the star of the basketball team, they don't matter when you get into your late 20s, early 30s, and beyond. That would be one of them, but I probably wouldn't like to hear that. Another thing I would say is, if you want help right now with your dating life, Sean, and young Sean, it would be to stop worrying that you're not enough. You are enough. That really, women don't want a tall, dark, and handsome man. They want a man who is going to make them feel secure, make them feel confident, make them feel important and equal. And if you can bring a level of security so that you're comfortable in your own skin, they're going to stop looking as much at your disability, because they're going to automatically assume that if you're fine with it, that they can be fine with it. And the reason why you keep pushing women away is because deep down inside you're afraid that at the last moment they'll fall in love with you, but they're going to have to leave you because you're not enough physically. And you need to drop that fear, because that very fear is being proven right. And if you want to break that, you're going to have to break it first in yourself.
Excellent. That's good advice. Wish I had that advice when I was like 15, but I'm 19 now, so still time.
Definitely, still time.
So let's talk about, on a similar note. I think this audacity, I believe, goes hand in hand with the whole women in dating. But that's something that I've noticed about you, about how you're an audacious person. There's a few experiences that I've heard about in your speeches. I mean, you went up to a guy parked in a handicapped spot, a big tall dude, and you confronted him. That was audacious. You told Tony Robbins, when he had 15 minutes to speak with you, to forget the time and put his watch face down on a table to talk with you for longer. You told President Clinton in a joking tone to look you up the next time you're in town, so he could see you at the Democratic National Convention. I mean, this audacity, it comes up time and time again in your life. Could you talk about these personal experiences, or any other ones that come to mind that represent this audacity?
Sure. So, first of all, you've probably done more homework on me than any other interviewer, and I'm flattered and amazed.
Thanks.
I would say that that audacity comes from something greater than being audacious. It comes from a core belief that I have, that if something scares me, I have to do it. And scares me in a way that won't kill me or cause me to go to jail, but scares me in a way of, well, what if I look bad? Or what if I disappoint others? Or what if this doesn't go right? And so if there's something that scares me, like when I was single, talking to a woman, or when I was, starting my business, asking a mentor to take me on as an apprentice, or whatever it may be, if something scared me, I just had to do it. There was something in me that said, well, you're afraid, which is a signal that you need to go do this. And so that's kind of like the underpinning to that element that you're sharing. And just a lot of the audaciousness some of the stuff at the earlier levels of my life, the earlier ages, when I was a younger individual, more in my early teens, even. Um, that just came because I didn't know any better, really. I mean, I didn't think that that was audacious. I just thought, well, shoot, if this is something cool, why not go for it? And then as I got older, I learned about the word audacious and realized, wow, most people don't do that. And that's one of the downsides um, to growing up is that you start to naturally want to compare yourself to others as opposed to do what you truly want. As you get older, it takes more effort to do what you truly want and not compare yourself because your peers spend more and more time doing so. When you're in grade school, you just paint a picture and you don't think twice about if it's as good as your neighbor. But as you get to high school, college, and after, your brain starts getting conditioned to look at whether you're excelling compared to your peers. And so a lot of the audaciousness at the younger ages had more to do with I just didn't know any better. But at some point, I think I got addicted uh, to the response of people saying, "Did he just do what I thought he did?
Oh
Did he
yeah.
just pull that off?" And the last thing that I would say around that question, which is again, I'm flattered by the question. I love it actually. Um, is that most people don't expect much of me if they don't know me,
Okay.
and that gives me an upper hand because when somebody has a lowered expectation and you swoop in there with tons of value and charisma and confidence and love and compassion, and you just swoop in there with, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm going to bring the party. Uh, they're comparing you in their mind to what they thought you should have been capable of, and then you blow them out of the water.
That is how we roll.
That's correct. That is how you roll for sure.
How you roll. All right. So, okay, in October of 2007, you had a revelation at 2 a.m. in the emergency room. And you were out of town on business, thinking San Francisco, and you were rushed to the hospital with a kidney stone. Felt excruciating, and you thought it was the end. But you made it through, Sean, and just awesome that you did. I'm really happy. And
Me too.
yes, absolutely. And you said in a speech about the experience, don't run from pain, embrace it, hold on, because something that may be stopping you could be so tiny, and once it passes, you'll be free. Could you talk about this or some other experiences in life that come to mind where you went from maybe like an unbearable amount of pain or all the way to little or no pain in a short period of time?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if you've done any research or reading in the Course of Miracles, but based on that book, a miracle is a change of perspective. And I couldn't agree more that as soon as you change a perspective, you can go from heaven to hell or hell to heaven, really. And, a big change in perspective for me that night was um, what's really important? What matters? Does money matter? Not really. Does having a really large home, an impressive car matter? No. What matters is do you have people around you that love you, that you love? Are you making a contribution to society? Do you like who you are when you go to bed at night and you put your head on the pillow? Do you have something to look forward to? Do you have good things to look back on? Those are the things that matter because your brain registers only the really, really positive and only the really, really negative memories in your database. You don't remember unless you have some kind of amazing um, function to your brain. You don't remember a lot of the normalcy to life. You don't remember, what you made 3 years ago on a Tuesday on April 12th for lunch. You just don't. So what matters is, are you getting a bunch of experiences in your life that you would want to remember, that you would want to fill up your database of your memory bank. And so that change of perspective was really crucial. I mean, I created my first bucket list before the movie Bucket List even came out, I believe. And I just decided that I wanted to meet the Dalai Lama, which I later did. I wanted to have a TV show. I mean, I set so many goals up that within that 1 year, I knocked out. In fact, I probably was more on fire in 2007 than I've ever been in one single year because I had the fear of life ending quickly so eminent and so prominent. And so from that experience, I just realized that when I'm getting upset, it's because I'm focusing on what I call the Fed, which is your fear, which is what you don't want, your envy, which is what you don't have, or your dislikes, which is what you do not like about your life. And what I've been really coming away with is you want to get away from the Fed and you want to go towards the gap. And the gap is your goals, which is what you want. You want to be focused on what you want. Your appreciations, everything that you have. And the last one is your preferences. What do you like? What lights you up? And when you're focusing on what you want, what you like, or what you want, what you have, and what you like, it's impossible to get down. It's impossible to be held back. You cannot be stopped if you live in the gap.
From the Fed to the Gap. Interesting names. I like it. So, to conclude this interview, Sean, I've got a question for you here. So, I set out to do this real story interview series to really get at the essence of being human, basically, to connect with others on a genuine level through their life story, and to bring their humanity to light. So that being said, is there anything that we haven't covered that maybe has been on your mind lately, or something you could share with us to really help us understand you, Dr. Sean Stephenson, your essence as a person, as a human being?
Be good to yourself. That life is far more enjoyable when you take good care of yourself. When you go out of your way to compliment yourself on the inside. When you go out of the way to show appreciation to yourself. And these are things we're scared to do because we're worried about ego, we're worried about arrogance, we're worried about narcissism. And if you're not out to only take care of yourself, you're out to take care of the planet as well, and you're not out to prove anything to the world, that you're just there to improve. You don't have to worry about narcissism, ego, and arrogance. You can just truly be good to yourself. Because when I look back on my life, Josh, and I look at the things that I'm proud of, and I look at the things that I'm looking forward to, they all come back full circle to how much care am I taking care of myself? Am I saying good things to myself? Am I taking care of my health? Am I putting my emphasis on eating the right foods? Am I breathing consciously? Am I meditating? Am I praying? Am I going out into nature? Am I doing what I call my when life works list? It's about 10 to 12 things on average that I have to do throughout the week to really have my life work. And when I don't do those things on my list, then I end up doing the things on my when life sucks list. And when life sucks list, I'm doing things like oversleeping because I'm avoiding my responsibilities. I'm eating fatty, sugary, greasy foods. I'm not I'm not exercising. I'm not getting out of the house enough. And you know what I would really want people to know at my essence is that I'd say 85 to 90% of my time is spent being really good to Sean. And that's why I appear to be authentically happy with my life, because I am 90% of the time. It's why people can't rock me off of my center very easily. Like it's very hard to have somebody say something that just causes me to lose it and get very defensive, because I know who I am at my core, and I'm getting to know myself more, and I realize that there's that I have nothing to prove to anyone. I don't have anything to prove to society about my worth or value. And when we get defensive, we feel that we're being judged, and so therefore we have to prove something. There's no need to have that energy drain. So I would tell somebody that was, part of this program that really want to get value from this, that make your life's purpose to do something big for humanity, but also to take really, really, really good care of yourself. Spend that extra little bit amount of money to go for a massage once a month or once a week. Go that extra mile to cut out the toxic people in your life that are really, doubting you all the time and causing you to doubt yourself. Go that extra mile to keep a perimeter of greatness around you.
Thank you, Sean. That was really good. And so, how can we contact you? Like, where can we find you on the internet?
Sure. Well, there's probably the most exciting thing that I have going on right now that I would recommend people check out is thekeyisconfidence.com. Thekeyisconfidence.com. That's probably the most exciting thing that I have going on right now. That is the best way to get more information about the program that I'm working on right now. And if somebody wanted to follow me on a social element, they could do so by following me on Twitter at the handle the Shantourage, SEANTOURAGE. So the Shantourage. They can follow me on that on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And check out Sean's YouTube. I believe it is Sean Clinch.
That's correct.
Yep. It's got tons of awesome videos. So thank you so much, Sean. Oh, and by the way, pick up Sean's book, Get Off Your Butt. Read this, really good stuff about getting off your BUT. So would highly recommend that. So thank you so much, Dr. Sean Stephenson. OptimisticWellness.com, the real story interview series. Optimism is the only way.